Welcome to Middle Earth, Queenstown, New Zealand. I'm here with my FTW initiative, standing for Free the World initiative, with my coaching clients who have flown in from all different parts of the world. And we're in this spectacular, amazing backdrop. As you can see, clouds rolling in from everywhere. The sun's out, we're here in the mountains. And I'm about to share a new module of OMG called I Am. All right, before I start taking the stage or sharing anything, does anyone want to share anything from the last 6 months or just from last night or... What do you think the uncertainty is, Mandy?
What do I think of the uncertainty?
Yeah. What are your feelings about it?
It's been... I'm finding some amusement in it.
Amusement in the uncertainty?
Yeah. I'm getting kind of amused with what is possible.
So what's been happening?
I could have gotten here without a passport.
Did you get your passport?
I have one, but nobody looked at it. Nobody asked for it.
On the way into the country?
After I got into the country, from Auckland to here.
Nobody asked for a passport?
Or ID, anything. Or boarding pass, actually.
That's an interesting manifestation, isn't it?
It's pretty interesting. I literally walked up to... It wasn't until I was on the plane that someone looked at my boarding pass.
To tell you where you sit?
Yeah.
So no one looked at your passport leaving America either?
Oh, that they did.
Yeah, but just coming into the country.
Yeah.
It's interesting. That normally doesn't happen in the story.
That's interesting.
It was interesting how we found that restaurant last night. And I've told some of you guys, but that's my favourite restaurant in New Zealand. And I've never been to Queenstown. I used to go to Auckland quite a lot because I used to run WTFs there. And every time we went there, Jamie and I would go down there with a few other friends and I always send photos to Sal. And we used to pre-order our steaks, the ones you had to pre-order. Yeah, like 24 hours before, we'd give them a call. Hey, we're in town. Get this one for us and get that one for us. And I always used to get, I tried the $150 steak, that one, but it used to be too small, so I used to get that as well as one of the other ones. Right, no, that's what you got to do, right? And so when we arrived here, we just kind of asked the guy when we rented the car what restaurants are good. And it's just talking about the flow, because the flow is something that we're going to talk about in this subject of I am. And so anyway, he gave a whole bunch of restaurants, and Sal goes, which one do you want to go? I go, I'm going to pick a steak. He gave a few steak places because I felt like a steak. So he gave a few steak recommendations. And we were going to do like a welcome dinner, maybe over here, but we came in a little bit late. Our flight got delayed. There's no way, because we were in Italy, we did the welcome dinner, and we had the mama come in and cook for us. Well, Sal was going to do the cooking here. I bought the bottles of wine ready to go for the welcome dinner to be here, but there was no way we're going to get it in time because our flight arrived late. So I said, well, let's book one of these restaurants, and Sal just picked one of those steak places. She picked it. She calls me and says, can you Google and find out the address? So I Googled it. Again, it's still not clicking in until I actually arrived on the website when I saw the logo, and I was like, this is the place I've been wanting to take Sally for such a long time. My favourite restaurant is, I'll talk about this place wherever I am in the world. I say, if anyone wants the best steak in the world, this is the restaurant, and it's in Auckland. And I didn't even know they were in here. I asked the guy last night, the waiter, and he said they've only been there for 2 years. But awesome. So we got there, and I'm talking about synchronicities and flow because we are going to be talking quite a lot about synchronicities and flow in this topic of I am. It's one component of it. There's 3 components of this topic, the topic I am. But one component is about the flow, and interesting, it's interesting that we went to that restaurant, and how cool. We got this, Sal organised a private room, and we had this. One of the things I love about that restaurant is the waiters. They're always really entertaining. Lots of flows. I was just speaking to Sally before. I was like, she was about to make me some breakfast because I hadn't had breakfast. I said, I feel like some nuts. Did you get some nuts? And she always gets nuts. No, I haven't got nuts. I'll get it next time when I go shopping. I was like, okay. Maybe I feel like some nuts. Then April walks in and goes, do you want some nuts? and this stuff is all the time. But usually I don't really get to point them out to many people. Because I'm spending too much time talking about content. But just noticing these little flows. But what I can tell you about the flow, and I didn't mean to start to talk about the flow, but that's the way it came out. That's the way it flowed. The flow, if we're going to talk about it, because, if we're going to talk about something over the next few days in this topic of I am, we're going to define it. We're going to articulate it in such a fashion, in such a manner that all our little minds can grasp. But if I can give you one definition of the flow is the construction, but also the deconstruction of energy, flowing into form or out of form. It goes both ways. It's the motion or the movement of energy coming into form or coming out of form. Manifesting into form or manifesting into formless. It's like the movement of energy. I'm just going to put that little seed in there for now because it's actually part of this whole topic of I am. But I don't want to talk about it yet because I want to build the foundation first. But it is the construction and this deconstruction. Deconstruction, what's deconstruction? It's form deconstructing itself into formless. In WTF experience, I talk about the iceberg that's floating on the ocean. It's far easier to not change the shape of the iceberg, change the shape of your life. It's easier to melt the iceberg, deconstruct it back into the ocean, and then reconstruct it into form, to form a different shape, than it is to then go and try to change the shape of the physical. Like I always think of it, how are you going to change the shape of the iceberg? The iceberg being you, the iceberg being your life, being your story. Most people think, well, to change the shape of my life, to change who I am, they think they need to change as the physical. Because you go, well, you need to change. For things to change, you need to change. When they say you need to change, or when people hear you need to change, they think them as the physical needs to change. No, you as the physical needs to change its realization of who it really is. So you changing the physical or changing form is it's as though you're going down there with welding equipment, chiseling equipment, and you're trying to weld or chisel or change the shape of this huge, humongous iceberg that's 10% surface, 90% within of the ocean. So that's the way I see it in my mind. I see the little men trying to chisel and change the shape of this iceberg. But it's far more easier, far more effortless to not try to change the shape. And that's where fixing, improving, and changing comes along. It's far more simpler, it's far more effortless to deconstruct the iceberg. And when you deconstruct the iceberg, which is solid, which is ice, what are you deconstructing it into? Back into what it's made from. Back into where it sits. Back into what it is floating in. An ocean of energy. Or, in the explanation of iceberg, back into the ocean. You see? So the flow is the movement of energy that is constructing. In other words, manifesting into form. Most people only know it as the energy manifesting into form. Because most people only experience their flow when things are happening in a way that is forming. But the flow also is the same movement of energy that is taking something and deconstructing it. But most human beings refrain or restrict the deconstruction because they have attached or identified themselves as form. They don't want to lose the form. So when in their story that things are deconstructing, right, they try to hold on to it. So again, the flow is the movement of energy that is constructing itself into form from formless, or that is deconstructing itself from form. Did I say that wrong? I'll say that again because I think I lost myself there. The flow, I've said it a few times. I say what I'm going to say, then I tell you what I'm going to say, then I tell you what I just said, right? Just to make sure. What I'm going to share with you guys today, or over the next couple of days, because I want to break it down over the next few days, because I want you to ponder on it. In Italy, I gave it to you in one day. And then everything else we spoke about a whole bunch of other stuff. Okay? But this, I'm going to break it down over a few days. The flow is the movement of energy. You've heard me talk about this in the WTF. And I say, when people go, I'm just being, right? They're like, I need to just be. This is what I was about to say to you. Hang on. That's right. what I'm sharing with you today can be a real mindfuck, right? But don't worry, because once I share what I need to share, I'm going to give you a metaphor that is science, that is scientific, that you could go study if you want, and I can give you some papers on it, and you're like, that's exactly what's taking place. In this conversation that we're having about I am talking about a process of giving birth and deconstruction, death. You are continuously giving birth and constructing something, and at the same deconstructing. It's going to be very difficult for you, maybe very difficult for this just to land. I already can see some of you are like already going like one by one, boom, 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 boom. But you got to hang in there. I will give you the scientific. I will give you something tangible that you can go, oh, okay, I get everything you just said.
It's one thing. I mean, that's what's landing in me. As soon as something is given birth, it's given death. It's in the same moment.
Yeah. And absolutely. And I want to talk about this process of it. Because most of us, like I said, our energy or attention is with the flow that is giving birth. We talk about giving birth. I talk about giving birth to ideas. I talk about, or people look for their construction or their energy forming into the physical. Like the formless forming into the physical. But rarely do we look for the form manifesting itself back into the formless. Both exist at the same time. Both is happening simultaneously. I understand. But I want to talk about this process because you've heard in the month of manifestation of the module of manifestation, I say, I'm pretty sure I say, somewhere I say, that the manifested cannot manifest. The physical, so if you as the physical is trying to manifest something in your life, you have no, even if it manifests, it was never you. You don't have the power to manifest. It's like the drop trying to manifest the ocean. The drop doesn't have the power. It doesn't have the capacity. It's the manifested, once something is manifested or identified as form, it loses all its power. So this is very important for us to be able to share with each other the concept or the realization of the form manifesting itself into the formless. Because the form can unmanifest itself. And that's what it is. It's almost like the form is not manifesting, because the form can't manifest. But the form can unmanifest itself. It can fall back within its true self. The iceberg can melt and change its form back into the ocean. Do you understand what I'm trying to share with you in this topic? You, for as long as you say, I am the one, you're not the one. Because if you, as the identity, as the physical, as the form, is trying to identify as something that's formless, it's not. So for whatever reason, we started with the flow. That flow is that movement of energy. In past talks, you've heard me talk about states of being. You can be in complete silence, and people experience this complete silence, this complete serenity, whatever word you have for a complete peace, where it's just still in meditation. Yes, you can find maybe not even just meditation. It's just sitting with nature, just like where we are. You can just go sit there and feel the complete stillness of that energy. Feel the complete openness of that space. But I've spoken about when you then move that energy, we describe it as being the flow. Like right now, I am speaking to you in the flow. It's a different version of that same energy. And the version is, one is just complete still, the other is the stillness moving. So flow is the stillness, the energy moving. And what's it moving towards? It's moving into form, or moving out of form back into formlessness. Both is the flow. Both is the flow unfolding. Both is the movement of energy. It's very important that you grasp that part of the flow, because that flow, what I've described to you, and I will keep talking about it until I feel it drops in, and maybe you've got to really go ponder on that one part before I even share the other part. But that one part that I'm sharing with you right now about the idea of flow and what flow is, like define it the way I'm defining it to you, that is the connection between form and formlessness, which is the same thing. Yeah. Because what do we know about form? You know, scientifically even know it's formless. Mm-hmm. So yes, John, it's the same thing, and both exist simultaneously. Yes, but I want to break this down and bring it into time and space and define what both is. What's the formless, what's the form, and the process that takes place. Some of you are struggling with this already. I can see, right? But you're going to have to be super present to grasp this. Like I said, by the end of what I'm sharing with you, or by the end of after I've completed sharing with you what I've got to share with you, I will put it into a complete scientific, physical explanation. Just for the ones who didn't grasp it. But try to grasp it. Try to grasp it in the state of formlessness. When you're listening, not to what I'm saying, but instead feeling the words or where the words are coming from, you're grasping it from a formless space. Like I have not explained much yet. That's why, as I'm not explaining much, some of your minds are already starting to go, your eyes become glassy. I can see they start to get glassy. And he's like, whoa. Some of you. Or maybe we shouldn't drink that much last night's welcome dinner. Hey? Mr. Absent?
I'm fine.
Yeah, you are. I know you are. I'm actually serious.
Amir?
Yes.
One thing that is coming to me right now is how this is really a continuation of Italy for me. And one of the things that hit me, you were talking about the way in, so now into form.
Yeah.
The way back is the same way that you came in.
Which way? How did you come in? How did you come in?
From the formless. In the nothing is the everything. You know, it's that, like, I felt on a deeper level what you've talked about in terms of not trying to chisel the iceberg. Yeah. It's so much, it's natural to not change that, but just to go into the nothingness where the everything is and reconstruct.
Yeah.
Deconstruct and reconstruct.
This is continually happening, even in your story.
Yeah.
You know, you're born, you die, and then you reconstruct back into birth. But again, who's reconstructing it? Most people think, oh,
it's the identity.
Yes.
Yeah. And those identities are dying all the time too, if you allow that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you're right, this is a continuation.
Yeah.
Of
thread.
It's a thread. Yeah. If you haven't watched or experience the 13th module, being imagination, you got a lot of catching up. You got to watch that. You got to watch that module before you experience this one. This is going to be the most deepest. It always is. But this is a continuation of imagination. I will be speaking about imagination. But right now, this is the first seed I'm giving you. There's only 3 seeds in this. 3 major seeds. One is of form, one is of formlessness, and the very first thing I've spoken about, which I originally thought would be the last thing I spoke about, but it came out first. I don't even realize that I started talking about this. Are we filming? We are filming, right? Like, when did I decide? I was going to talk about this from tomorrow or another day, but hey, it just started. The connection between those things is what you identify with as the flow. But again, most people know the flow of the construction.
Yeah.
But there's a deconstruction. Just like your breath. The breath flows in, construction, and then the deconstruction of the breath is what you call breathing out. We practice this in the retreat, where I get you to continuously place your attention on the breath going in, the breath coming out. Breath, nothing new here. It's just having a deeper realization of what the flow is. You must understand what the flow is, otherwise the connection between form and formlessness you won't get. You'll get it, but you'll get it as form. You have to get it from both sides.
Well, I was going to say, there's the in on the breath, there's that space.
Yes.
The nothing, the everything, there's the out. There's that space, the in, you know?
And that space is what you describe as both exist at the same time.
Yeah.
If you place your attention in that space, both in and out are both there.
Yeah, that space for me, if I watch the breath, if that's a technique I'm going to use sometimes, that's the place where I'm at the plateau looking into the nothingness.
So are you talking about observing or?
Yeah.
That's the place where you're observing.
Yeah.
It's almost like that's where you can observe the breath coming in and out.
Yeah.
And again, the meditation we do in the retreat is to get you to a point of no longer being the one breathing. You're not the breath. In fact, you're not even breathing. You're just noticing yourself taking the breath in, taking the breath out, and to the point you become the breath going in, and you become the breath going out. What is the breath going in, breath going out? Just energy. Construction, deconstruction. Construction, deconstruction. One moment in one energy. In the story, it's lots of little moments. So the construction and deconstruction, you notice it throughout your entire story. You build something up, you destroy it. This happens in the world. We build things, we make peace, we make war. It's continuously happening in the story. And in the story, you'll also give birth to something, or you become born and you die. That's in the story. But in one moment, one energy, in this moment, you are both constructing and deconstructing in one moment. You are manifesting your story moment by moment. So every limitation that you've chosen to experience, and I say the word you've chosen, because you think, I am experiencing limitation. And well, why am I being limited? Because you wanted to experience it. Why else would you be experiencing something? And people think, well, I'm here to change that limitation. Well, only after you've experienced it, you may change it. But you as the form, as the limited, is not the part of you that's choosing that in the first place.
I'm to go along on the ride.
Hey?
I'm to go along on the ride. If I don't go along on the ride, it's not going to flow. It's not going to construct and deconstruct. I'll be in a place of
so the part
fighting.
So what I want to get you to realize is the part of you that's going along for the ride and the part of you that's deciding what the ride is. Like you said, both exist simultaneously and both is the same thing. So if we can understand or grasp both sides, then you can be one step closer to what we talk about being the one.
people will say to me, where am I coming from?
Again, who you're being, where you're coming from, same thing. So, there's a little definition or articulation, is that a word, of the flow. Okay? What have you grasped from that? Because I just want to know if I can move on. Because that is a very important seed. Like I said to you before, I thought it'd be the final seed, but it's the first seed. So you all agree that the flow is usually something you identify as flowing towards something, not flowing away from something. Normally you notice the flow or identify the flow as in its process of construction, not deconstruction. But many times I've always said, like, you're always in flow. It's just which flow. Are you flowing in, or are you in the flow out? Both is happening. One is construction, one is deconstruction. But guess what the great thing about the deconstruction is? What's limited is deconstructing to be unlimited. But the limited part identifies as the deconstruction as limiting or falling away or falling apart, or you're going through a major deconstruction right now in your life.
So, I mean, the deconstruction is the experience. So if I'm not resisting the experience, that would be the experience deconstructing, because I'm experiencing it. I'm not resisting it. So being in that experience, for me, would be the flow of deconstruction.
Yes. Being in the experience or not resisting the experience, it detaches yourself from the story, which allows you to experience the process of deconstruction.
Yeah, because that's for me. Like, I notice who I'm, like, now I'm more being, whether I'm constructing or deconstructing. Don't feel attached to it. But at the same time, although I'm able to flow and not be I don't feel influenced by it, there's still a sense of limitation somewhat in it.
Limitation is only experienced in form. Okay? So if you're still experiencing limitation, it's because you're measuring the possibilities in form. When I say to you guys before we started the recording for this module, you know, when I talked about using your will, right, that's formless. So when you're willing something, or you're allowing yourself to follow what you will, so follow what you feel, right, that feeling is limitless. That feeling only knows possibilities. It's only when you bring it back and try to fit that into a story, you go, well, what was I thinking? That's not possible. How silly was I? Oh, I've got to work harder, or whatever it is. So if you're experiencing the limitation, it's purely because you're actually referencing to the story. If you're in the feeling, the formless is infinite. Now, the form is actually not really form, it's actually formless itself. So that's another thing.
Yeah, that's the trick, is not to reference as the construction's happening, or deconstruction, not to reference either.
Yeah. Not to reference, but to experience the construction and deconstruction. I just want you to understand or grasp the idea of construction and deconstruction. I want you to see that the flow is not flowing one way, it's flowing both ways.
Yeah.
So that's what I want you to see, if you can tap into that right now.
Going back to the imagination session, it's like...
Hey? That's all right, keep going.
It's like the word, like the imagined is then unimagined to be reimagined.
The imagined...
Because the imagined is form.
Yeah.
It's then unimagined, whatever that story is. And then in order for something to be like
Reimagined.
reimagined or imagined.
All right, anyone else got any different insights from that?
What I'm getting is just how what you're saying is so natural. You know, I even think about what has happened in the project and how, for me, there's been like a lot of deconstruction, and, you know, rather than judging that, you know, if I am experiencing that and just recognizing it's part of the natural flow, it you know, it kind of changes things for me.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Here's what's if you can get this realization. If you can get, I'll take a break in a moment, but if you can get this realization, whether it's construction or deconstruction is not important. What's important is for you to identify that it is the energy moving. All it is energy moving. The moment you label it that it's constructing or deconstructing, you disconnect from the energy and connect with what the energy is doing. Do you understand? So you refer more to the story. It's just energy. Now, whether the energy is constructing or deconstructing is actually the same energy. Just like when we talk about whether you experience something positive or negative, you know, it's not positive or negative, it's just energy. Negative energy, positive energy, love energy, hate energy. Like I'm talking about duality, love here, that has an opposite called hate or fear, whichever one you want to identify with. All right? Both are just forms of energy. But if you say that that energy is fear, then you identify with the form of energy. In other words, what the energy has formed itself. Okay? Because even the emotion that has formed, although it is formless, because an emotion is not something it's tangible, but you tangibly feel it. You experience it in this idea of this space that you hold called your body. You're holding this space and you go, I feel fear. Where do you feel it? Here. But you're not even there. But this is the space that you're experiencing. So you go, I feel the fear here. So the energy has formed itself into fear, but it's not fear, it's just energy. That's all that you've labeled it as. That's why, you know, in previous conversations, we've said if you go deep enough into fear, you'll fall into love. And when I say fall into love, I'm not talking about the opposite of fear, love. I'm talking about the one love. What I'm talking about is energy. If you go deep enough into fear, deep enough into hate, deep enough into negative energy, you'll fall into infinite energy, where it's neither negative or positive, it's neither love or fear. You getting me? So if you are to experience the movement of energy, it's not labeled as even construction or deconstruction. But I'm labeling that construction and deconstruction because most people only know the flow when it's constructing. But remember, you as this body is the constructed. And constructed is form. I'm talking about form. But remember, form is not just the tangible. It's also the intangible that you experience, the intangible being an emotion that you experience in what you know to be tangible, being the physical body. So the emotion that you're experiencing is formed into an energy that you've labeled as hate, as jealousy, as a negative energy. But it's not that. That's what it has formed into. But if you take your attention away from the form, you're back to the formless. All it is energy.